This channel is for educational purposes only. Please do your own due diligence before making any investment decisions.
Hi, this is Joe Rabil. So what I want to do today is I want to talk about a two-time frame trade setup. I want to show how we can use the MACD and the ADX to give us high probability setups, all right? Now, they're each used for their own thing, meaning ADX is used for one component and MACD is used for something else. And then even the moving averages are used for their own criteria. So we want to put all the pieces together and we can identify some very attractive patterns that way. All right, let's go ahead with that. Now, if you want to learn more about some of these techniques, I would suggest starting with my book. You can click the link in the description to find out more. And also, if you do enjoy this content, please hit that like button and also subscribe. Okay, so I've got the chart of Robinhood Markets, HOOD, with a daily on the left and a weekly on the right. All right. Now, this is a very interesting trade because if you look at the way it played out, we had a really deep pullback on the weekly chart. I mean, this is pretty substantial the way it played out. However, if you look at what was taking place in the indicators, even though this was a deep decline, the MACD was well above the zero line, and the ADX actually stayed above 25 throughout the correction. So I actually consider this a power trend. Now, there's a couple things we obviously want to be looking for. We want to make sure that these aren't crisscrossing or doing anything significant in terms of reversal, the DI lines. And we can see what happened. They came and they kissed. And then green got back above 25 line, and 25 and the negative DI just dropped off. All right, so that's the kind of action we want to see on the higher time frame. A lot of strength in the buyers, not enough strength in the sellers to overtake that. And then the MACD, we like to see this pulling back but holding above that zero line. Those are good signs. Now, the other thing I want to make sure we're seeing is that the 18 hasn't rolled over, right? It's still rising throughout this whole period. If you were to do it mathematically, it would show a rising moving average. Yeah, it's stalled out a little bit, but it's considered rising throughout. So any of what's taken place here can still be used as a setup for the lower time frame if we get what we're looking for, all right? So first order of business is making sure that higher time frame has the criteria we want. We've got rising moving averages, all right? We've got an uptrend in place. We've got MACD and ADX suggesting that there's more upside coming just based on the strength, especially the ADX. The ADX is giving us essentially the strength to the upside, and then on the pullback, the fact that it's holding 25 is essentially telling us that there's more upside coming. And then the MACD can help with the timing of that. All right, if the MACD were to cross below the zero line, then we know this is going to take more time. But the fact that it's well above the zero line is telling us that we ought to be looking for a trigger on the smaller time frame if we get it. All right. So if we're looking at this and trying to call, what is this called? What is this setup actually called? I would probably be looking at this as a zero line reversal, essentially. It didn't quite, I mean, obviously there was some distance there, but I'm just looking at it as something that was way stretched away from the zero line to a pretty significant standpoint, and it came back down. Now, I mean, the main reason I'm interested in this is because it's a power trend pulling back to the 25 line. All right, so you can put that as your log file setup if you want. All I know is that it qualifies. Now, if we go to the smaller time frame, we've had this clear reversal of trend to the downside. But look at the way this plays out from a MACD and ADX standpoint. Again, we want to be watching what these things are doing to help us determine whether there's a reversal taking place on this time frame. We want to see the reversal as fast as humanly possible to get in on this trend at the low end, as low as we can, right? So you can see the way this played out. We actually made a lower low at the low. We made a lower low here, but MACD made a higher low. That was the first time we saw divergence in the MACD, all right? Now, that in and of itself wouldn't necessarily cause me to want to play this, especially because this was such a deep retracement. But look at the big green bar that showed up that basically triggered the divergence. That's a really good sign. We like to see that. Now, what followed was we came back and we formed a little pinch here inside the range underneath the zero line. All right. Now, I mean, when I'm looking at this, again, it's probably because that gap down, I'm probably not as interested in that one as well. I probably want to see this crossing above the zero line. The other thing that's taking place, and I think this is pretty important, we had red DI staying on top. We had one little poke up here of green, and then immediately red took over again, right? And then if you notice what happened on this move, we finally got green DI to cross over and hold above the red DI, all right, through a pullback. So we got to move up, and then we got to pull back here, and it stayed above. That was the first time in this whole move starting from this decline where the green DI started to show signs of improvement. Now, we don't have the ADX kicking into gear yet, but I mean, at this point, we know that green DI is starting, the buyers are starting to come back in. And then we can go and look for the timing component using the MACD with the pinch play. We got a pinch play right there. Now, one of the things I would suggest, if you're doing a pinch play in this type of a two-time frame setup, and the pinch play is the trigger, don't use the low. In the book, I talk about using the low of this pullback as your stop, and that is good for the exercise that I'm using in the book. But for trading, I would use the 2 times the ATR, give it a little bit more room, hopefully, below the moving average, gives it a little bit more breathing room underneath. And that's probably how I would handle this. But now what we've got is a shift in trend that's starting to take place. Because if you look at the way this played out, if this is the low, I can come back and I can draw my trend line here. And we came back and tested, turned back to the upside. So we get our 1 here, 2 is the test, and then 3 is coming back up through here. And this is the first pullback after the 1, 2, 3, and then this would be the completion of the confirmation of the trend, getting the reversal, right? So it's really pretty cool the way this plays out, and how the MACD and the ADX and the DI lines can give us this helpful information in terms of timing. So if we're playing these types of trades, we want to look for the high probability trade. We want to play low risk, not low price, all right? And that's why I wasn't really interested in playing this right off the low with the divergence. Now, you can do that if you want. I'm just saying, because this was such a deep correction in the trade, all right, that I'm probably waiting for a little bit more confirmation on this side of the equation, all right? That's how I would handle it. Whereas if this was a shallow pullback, let's say this would only pulled back to the 18 and it barely got back to the 18 and this was still above the zero line, it was showing a lot of strength, then I'm probably going to be a lot more aggressive with my trigger side of the equation. But because this was well below the 18 and it actually even touched down below the 40 a little bit, I know I'm probably looking for a little bit more of a confirmation type of a reversal, meaning not necessarily waiting for a full-fledged change in trend, but I like to see the MACD getting back above the zero line and show the pinch, and I also like to make sure green DI is getting back and going again. All right, this green DI on the lower time frame, it can be one of the most helpful things to avoid getting chopped up in trading. Right, you can get in these trades early sometimes and they'll work, but if you don't have green DI helping you in the trade, suggesting that things are shifting back to the buyer side of the equation, then you're probably going to have a lot more little small losses, and then you watch your trade go. Meaning you actually get in a good trade that ultimately works, but you get stopped out because you jumped in a little too early, all right? I used to do this all the time because I could see this coming from a mile away. I know what's going on. Okay, this is making a big turn, and I know what's going on. I can see everything like I'm 3 steps ahead of everyone else. The problem is with the stop I was using, I was getting stopped out all the time, right? So you got to make sure you understand what's taking place on the higher time frame, and that's how you make your adjustments on the lower time frame. This is really key when we're playing a 2 time frame setup. If I were just doing it on 1 time frame, that would be one thing. But most of the time, I'm using 2 time frames and sometimes 3 time frames to make a decision. And when I get a deep correction taking place on the setup time frame, then I'm probably looking for a little bit more confirmation when it comes to the trigger side of the equation. All right. Let me know if you have any questions. We'll see you next time.